Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Our primary focus on this channel, as you all know, is college football. We live and breathe college football. But we do like to make a few exceptions every now and then. And today is one of those exceptions. Because we have a huge weekend in the football world coming up, guys. It is Championship Sunday in the NFL. 2 games in the AFC and the NFC that will determine who meet in Super Bowl 55. So we have a lot to cover. We're going to talk about the NFL this week. And we're going to start with the NFC Championship game. An unbelievable battle between the 5th seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the 1 seed, number 1 overall seed in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers. So again, guys, college football primary focus. We want to touch on the NFC today. We're going to touch on the AFC Championship later on. We'll have a Super Bowl prediction out closer to time. So we're going to dabble a little bit in the NFL over these next few weeks because it's just been such a historic season, not just in the college ranks as we all saw, but in the NFL as well. This, to me, has been one of the best NFL playoffs that I've seen in a long time. And part of it is because of how great the NFC has been, how wild that side of the NFL has been all year long. And you look at this game, guys, what's going to happen, the first championship game to be played on Sunday afternoon, we couldn't have asked for a better matchup. Regardless of what had happened when Tampa Bay played the Saints last week, we were going to get to see Aaron Rodgers take on either Drew Brees or Tom Brady. And lucky for us, in my opinion, we got to see him take on Tom Brady. You know, this is a matchup that for years a lot of people wanted to see. Everybody wanted to see the Patriots and the Packers face off in a Super Bowl. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers in a Super Bowl. This is the next best thing. This NFC Championship is the next best thing between Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. And you look at the stats, guys. Tom Brady, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. He certainly is in my book. 6 Super Bowl rings, number 1 in NFL history when it comes to passing touchdowns, 2nd in total passing yards. Rodgers, he has a Super Bowl ring to his name. He's 7th in NFL history when it comes to passing touchdowns, and there's a good chance he's going to crack the top 10 when it comes to all-time passing yards by the time this championship is done. So this is it. And with Brady's career nearing an end and Rodgers nearing an end, maybe in the next few years, this is a big deal. This is a huge deal, and you need to soak it all in, regardless of your affiliation, regardless of your allegiance. A little bit of back story for both of these teams, guys. A little bit of history between the Bucs and the Packers before we really break down the analysis. The Buccaneers, they're making their first NFC title appearance since 2002. First NFC title appearance since 2002. The same year, of course, they won Super Bowl 37 over the Raiders. The Packers, on the other hand, they are making their 3rd NFC Championship appearance in the last 5 years. So they have been a perennial Super Bowl contender for the last, I would say, decade or so. Remember, they won the Super Bowl 45 back in 2010. The problem is the Packers have lost their last 2 NFC Championship appearances in blowout fashion. 17 points to the 49ers last year, 23 points to the Falcons back in 2016 with a berth in Super Bowl 51 on the line. That was really close to getting to see that Brady-Rodgers matchup that we desperately wanted to see back in 2016. So this is a big one. Again, and I don't think the Packers are going to get annihilated in this one. Even if they were to lose this game, it's going to be close. You look at what happened earlier in the year down in Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers beat the Packers 38-10. I can guarantee you there's not going to be a similar result on Sunday. Regardless of who wins this game, it's going to be much closer than it was the first time these two teams met. And of course, we'll touch on that a little later on in this video. So let's go ahead and take a look at the offense real quick. Let's take a look at the offensive side of the ball for both the Buccaneers and the Packers. And let's start with Tampa Bay. Let's start with Tom Brady, who is leading his Buccaneers squad into the frozen tundra, up into Green Bay at Lambeau Field. I think Tom Brady showed that he is still an elite quarterback this season. This was a true test. He leaves New England. He leaves a coaching staff that's been intact practically his entire playing career, comes down to Tampa Bay. This was an opportunity for him to show, I can play without Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was not the reason for my success. I was the reason for my success. People thought he was washed up. They thought he was deteriorating. Thought he should have retired years ago. And he goes into Tampa Bay, throws for 40 touchdowns in the regular season, and has thrown for 580 yards and 4 touchdowns in the past 2 playoff victories over the Washington football team and the New Orleans Saints. You look at the Bucs and their numbers, they're a pass-heavy team. The running game is almost non-existent. They're averaging just 94.9 rushing yards per game. They have a good running back duo of Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, a duo that's good enough to get the job done, but they've been very inconsistent. Flashes of brilliance here and there, but not nearly as consistent as the passing game. And what else would you expect? If I'm Bruce Arians, what else would I do when I've got the greatest quarterback in NFL history on my side and a wide receiver / pass catching core of Mike Evans, who has over 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns this year, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate? I mean, why wouldn't I throw the football? That's going to be our bread and butter. That's going to be our go-to. And that's something that's going to make or break whether or not Tampa Bay gets to their first Super Bowl since 2002. You look at how efficient their offense has been, too. They scored at least 30 points in their last 5 games. They scored 30 points against the Saints. They scored 31 points against Washington in those 2 playoff games. This offense is getting hot at the right time. That's exactly what you want going into the playoffs as you continue to go through the playoffs. So that's the big numbers to look out for right here. The Bucs, they were getting criticized early in the year for struggling at times offensively. It's not the case anymore. You look at Green Bay. They're averaging 31.8 points per game, of course, led by Aaron Rodgers. And this is not the flashiest offense you're going to see. I think that title certainly goes to Kansas City on the AFC side. We'll talk about them later this week. But the Packers are extremely efficient. Aaron Rodgers absolutely is still one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now and one of the best, I believe, in league history. You look at Aaron Rodgers, 48 touchdowns in the regular season to just 5 interceptions. I mean, this guy has a legitimate MVP race. He's a legitimate MVP candidate for this entire season. Packers would not be in this position without him, and those numbers are absolutely ridiculous. He threw for 296 yards and 2 touchdowns in their divisional victory over the Rams just last week, beat them 32-18. And we know that his go-to player, his go-to receiver is Davante Adams. The one area that I think Tampa Bay owns the advantage of on offense might still be quarterback with Tom Brady. It's certainly the pass catchers with the core they have, but Davante Adams is up there as arguably the best wide receiver in the league right now. Adams putting up over 1,300 reception yards, 18 touchdowns this year. Again, this is a guy that can do it all. Can beat you deep, can take a screen pass, take it 50 yards, quick slants over the middle. He's Aaron Rodgers' go-to guy, and that's something that the Tampa Bay defense has to be prepared for. They've got to find a way to slow down Davante Adams. If they do that, you slow down this Green Bay passing attack. You look at the rest of their numbers, guys. Again, more pass-heavy, but the Packers are efficient, and Matt LaFleur tries to keep this team as balanced as he can. Green Bay is averaging 132.4 rushing yards per game, of course led by Aaron Jones. So they actually have a little bit more of a rushing edge, I think, right now than Tampa Bay does, especially when it comes to just balance in general. And that's, again, we're going to talk more about later with our X factor that you don't want to miss, but that's going to be key in this NFC Championship game. Who can be more balanced? Which run game can take more pressure off of their star quarterback? You look at the defense, guys. Let's take a look at the Bucs again. We're alternating here. Can they stop the Packers? Can Tampa Bay stop the Packers again? Remember, in Week 6, the Buccaneers defeated the Packers 38-10. They held Aaron Rodgers to just 160 passing yards and forced 2 interceptions. All right? 2 interceptions, 160 passing yards. They had a pick 6 off them. They won by 28. Can they do that again now in Green Bay? Remember, that game was in Tampa. The Buccaneers are allowing 21.5 points per game this season, and they tend to rise to the occasion. I know at times they've been shaky. I know at times maybe they allow more points and more yards than people would have liked, but the way they played against Aaron Rodgers the first time around was phenomenal. The way they played against Drew Brees last week, possibly Drew Brees' final game in the NFL, an illustrious, an amazing career, one of the greatest of all time. They picked him off 3 times in the Superdome and held him to 134 yards. If they play like that, if this Buccaneers secondary plays the way they did last week in New Orleans, plays the way they did when they faced off against Green Bay in Week 6, they no doubt will win this game. If their secondary stays hot, and I think it's 2 more interceptions, they intercept Aaron Rodgers 2 times in this game, Tampa Bay wins, and they're going to the Super Bowl. It's all going to rest on the secondary. I don't think Aaron Jones is going to run rampant in this one. I don't think, Tampa Bay is going to struggle mightily to stop the run. It's going to come down to the passing game for both teams. And if Tampa Bay's defense plays the way they have against some of the leader opponents they've played, they will win. You look at Green Bay. What are the Packers up against here? They have one of the better defenses in the NFL, believe it or not. They've allowed 18 points per game so far this season. They're allowing just 270 yards per game this season. Those numbers are ridiculous in and of itself. So Matt LaFleur, again, balanced offense, very, very balanced and stingy defense. And that was the case last year, too, when the Packers nearly made Super Bowl 54. You look at the numbers for Green Bay a little bit deeper. They're allowing 174 passing yards per game. They're allowing just 96 rushing yards per game. And it should be noted that Tampa Bay also is allowing just 95 rushing yards per game. All the more reason that I believe that Aaron Jones and Green Bay aren't going to be able to run on the Buccaneers, at least not as effectively as they would like to. Remember, they're averaging over 100 rushing yards per game. You look at the Packers defense again, going back to week 6. I know it's been a long time. They allowed 324 yards of offense to Tom Brady and the Bucs in round 1. That included 158 yards on the ground. So we talk so much about these passing games, these quarterbacks, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, and yes, that's going to be such a big deal. But Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, that Buccaneers rushing attack played extremely well the first time they met down in Tampa. If they can get, I think, another 150 yards in this game, that's a key number for Tampa Bay to run in and get their third straight road playoff victory and get to the Super Bowl. So 2 interceptions off of Aaron Rodgers, 150 rushing yards. If they can get one of those, I think Tampa Bay wins this game. And that's, to me, the key for the Packers right now, one of them at least, is to stop that run game. Fournette's a brutal runner. He's very tough to stop. Nothing like he was back in college, but he's a good running back. And the Packers have to find a way to slow that down and force Tom Brady to win this game solely through the air. Remember, which run game can take the pressure, the load off their star quarterback? Whoever's able to do that has a better chance to win. You don't want everything riding on the shoulders of Brady or Rodgers. So real quick, a couple keys to the game. Let's take a look. The Buccaneers. We've talked about a few, but here's some big ones. The Buccaneers limit the home run ball from Aaron Rodgers. Now, what do we mean by that? Aaron Rodgers has one of the best deep balls in the NFL right now. His arm strength is unbelievable. He's getting older and older, and yet he's still got it. So he's one of the best in the NFL when it comes to the home run ball, and the Rams can attest to that. The 50-yard touchdown pass late in that fourth quarter that really put the Packers ahead for good in that divisional game against LA. Aaron Rodgers is accurate, he has the strength, and he can beat you deep with a very solid core of wide receivers, one that I don't think is as good as Tampa Bay, but one that can challenge. The Buccaneers had to find a way to stop that, prevent that. Do not get beat deep. They also need to find a way to slow the pace down. The Packers are not the fastest offense in the NFL, but they are, again, as efficient. We talked about how efficient they are. Slow down the pace. Slow down the pace. Force the Packers to play at your speed. Slow them down. Don't let them score very quickly, and you've got a chance to win this game. Again, 2 interceptions, 150 rushing yards. Don't get beat deep. Slow down the tempo. All those things combined, if they can just put a couple of those together, Tampa Bay's got a very good chance to win this game. Green Bay, on the other hand, their key to me really right now is taking care of the football. Rodgers did not do that round 1 against Tampa Bay, and I look at what Tampa Bay's been doing lately. What they did last week against New Orleans was really unbelievable. 3 interceptions off of Drew Brees. Let's keep in mind that 21 of the 30 points that Tampa Bay scored, 21 of those points, all 3 touchdown drives for Tampa Bay started within the New Orleans Saints 40-yard line. They started within the Saints 40-yard line when they scored those touchdowns. So, and that's because of off the turnovers. That was because they picked off Drew Brees, forced turnovers, and got favorable field position. The Packers cannot allow that to happen. If they turn the ball over, or if they have some poor special teams plays, whatever it may be, if they give Tampa Bay favorable field position, Brady will make you pay for it. Tom Brady will at least get 3 points out of it, but more than likely, he's going to get 6 out of it. So field position for the Packers is going to be key. I have no doubt in my mind that both quarterbacks can take the ball 99 yards down the field, but you don't want them to have to do that. Field position is key for both teams, but right now, with the way Tampa has been playing, with the way their offense has been playing, I think it's a bigger key for Green Bay. Final thing I want to touch on before we share our final prediction, who is going to Super Bowl 55 out of the NFC, the X Factor. And the X Factor is not a coach. It is not a player. It is literally a factor. It's the weather. It's Green Bay. What do you expect? It's going to be frigid. They're going to say the temperature's in the 20s, but it's going to feel like it's like 9 degrees, something like that. It's going to be ridiculous. Potential chance of snow. That's a concern, guys, when you've got a bunch of boys from Tampa Bay, sunny Tampa Bay, that aren't used to playing in conditions like that. Tom Brady is. Tom Brady, while this is his first year in the NFC, first year with the Buccaneers, he spent, 20 years in New England? He's used to the cold. He's used to the snow. He can handle that. Can the rest of his teammates handle that? The Packers, we know, can. It's their home field. They're used to that stuff. They've been used to it for years. But will the Bucs be conditioned well enough to handle the weather, to handle the element? That is my question here, and all the more reason that the run game is going to be that much more important. You're not going to see, especially if it's snowing relatively hard, you're not going to try to see many teams want to throw the ball in those type of conditions. The run game is going to be key. Can Fournette and Jones find any way to get some yards, pick up some yards, move the ball for Brady and the Bucs, or will Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers get the job done on their home turf and send their team to the Super Bowl? The weather, guys, is going to be key. That's a huge factor in this game. So what's going to happen in the NFC Championship? The first one, we will know who is in the NFC Championship. The AFC team will be awaiting their opponent. The NFC is going to clinch it, then we're going to see the Bills and the Chiefs, and then boom, we got 2 weeks to prep for Super Bowl 55. Again, soak this in, guys. I don't care if you hate Tom Brady. I don't care if you hate Aaron Rodgers. I don't care if you love him. Whatever it is, soak it in, because you're witnessing greatness on Sunday. It is not very often we get to see a matchup between two great, legendary quarterbacks like that. Not very often you get to see that in back-to-back weeks. Brady Breeze and now Brady Rodgers. All those guys, their careers are slowly but surely coming to an end. We're passing the torch on to the future of the NFL. Your Deshaun Watsons, your Patrick Mahomes, guys like that. So take this in. This is a historic moment, not just because of the stakes, but because of the players involved in it as well. Now, I do think this is going to be a great game. Again, nothing like the Week 6 matchup that we talked about earlier. This is going to be a fantastic game between the Bucs and the Packers. But when it's all said and done, I believe it will be the Green Bay Packers that advance to their first Super Bowl since 2010. When it's all said and done, home field advantage will play a major role. The weather will play a major role. And I do believe that the Packers are more well-equipped to handle that weather. I believe that the Packers are a little bit more balanced than Tom Brady and the Buccaneers right now. And I do believe that the Packers own the slight defensive edge in this game. It will not be a blowout by any means. I will be stunned if it is. I think it's a game that comes down to the wire, a game that lives up to the hype. But in the end, Aaron Rodgers, in his first NFC Championship game being played at Lambeau Field, the first time he's ever hosted an NFC Championship game, he finally comes through, he gets the win, and for the first time in 10 years, he will have the Packers back in the Super Bowl. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at The Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. And also, of course, make sure to check out everything down in the description below. We have so much exclusive football content for you guys down in that description. Our website, thegridironexpert.com, our Patreon account, our Gridiron Expert merchandise. All of those things, guys, provide you with extra college football news, content, analysis, and football content in general year-round. So go give it a look right down there in the description. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.